Well, good morning. We're going to get started with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Our invocation will be led by Reverend M. Price Oswalt. He's from St. Joseph Old Cathedral. Where's the Reverend? I've lost him here. There he is on the second row. If you would come forward and give us the invocation. Afterwards, I'll ask Councilman Pettis if he'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. But would everyone please stand at this time?
Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, in whose hand lies every human heart and the rights of all peoples, look with favor, we pray, on those who govern with authority over us, that throughout the whole world the prosperity of peoples, the assurances of peace, the freedom of religion may, through your gift, be made secure. Bless our Mayor Mick and the members of this City Council. Send your abiding Spirit to bless their deliberations. Guide them by your laws, your ordinances, and your righteousness. May their deliberations this day be for our common good, be for the welfare of the citizens of this city, bring you honor, and build up our common home. Look kindly upon us in our lowliness and listen to our prayers. For we make our prayer in your most holy name, for you live and reign forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This morning's council meeting is a little bit unusual in that we have something before the autumns and the office of the mayor. We're going to have a joint meeting with the Oklahoma City Housing Authority. I don't expect it to last too long, but those of you who came for the office of the mayor events will just bear with us for a few minutes. We're going to take care of some business here. We're going to be holding a public hearing, as we call the meeting to order, with the Oklahoma City Housing Authority. Leslie, are you going to lead us through the steps on this?
Actually, Ian Colgan.
Okay, thanks, Ian.
Good morning. Ian Colgan, Assistant Executive Director with the Oklahoma City Housing Authority. So why are we here with this public meeting today, hearing? The Oklahoma City Housing Authority issued an RFP, request for proposals, for project-based vouchers for the express purpose of senior housing, specifically affordable assisted living. It picked a project that will deliver those units, and according to the Housing Authority Act, 1965, anytime a housing authority approves new construction of units above 20 units, whether that is being the housing authority building those units or allocating project-based housing choice vouchers to that project, we must hold a public hearing where jointly the City Council and the Board of Commissioners for the Housing Authority votes for that the project is in the public interest of the community. So that's the purpose of the public hearing. A little bit about the project. The developer is an organization called the Community Enhancement Corporation, which is actually an instrumentality of the Housing Authority. It proposes to build 130 units in North Oklahoma City and Northwest 122nd and Western. I don't know if you can see the slides. I cannot see them, so I'm just talking. So this is going to be an affordable assisted living facility. What that means is that it combines several different funding sources together for the purpose of serving extremely low-income individuals, elderly individuals. It combines these project-based vouchers with SSI income as well as the Medicaid waiver to provide low-cost assisted living. This facility will be only the second such facility in the entire state of Oklahoma. The first one is 90 units on the south side at Southwest 59th Street. That is a project that we also provide our vouchers for. This is a unique product in the market because without it, seniors at this income level, which is extremely low to very low income, only have one option when they leave independent housing, and that is either go into market rate assisted living, which can run between $3,000 and $5,000 a month, where Medicaid ultimately runs out and you have to rely upon support from family members, or you go straight into assisted skilled nursing care. which is a type of care that is not always required for a lot of seniors who just need assistance with daily living. This program, this type of facility, here's a view of the, okay. This type of facility allows a senior to basically pay $300 or $400 a month, mainly for food, with the subsidy of the Medicaid, low-income housing tax credit, and the project-based voucher paying for everything else. Therefore, it is much more sustainable care for the elderly. This is a development site plan where we see the main facility of 120 units. Those are the assisted units. There are 10 additional units at the bottom in cottages, which are independent units. The idea is ultimately to create a continuum of care where low-income seniors can live independently and then are guaranteed a place in our assisted living facility and then can move into skilled nursing care all on the same campus. This is actually one of the more unique products in the entire country, where it includes primary care and pharmacy on site. These types of facilities are built more commonly in the Midwest and the Southeast, and they're ramping up quite a bit because they're much more cost-effective to build than skilled nursing homes and more cost-effective to serve populations. And here's a similar facility in Dallas that we're modeling this after. It's also a continuum of care that was built on Housing Authority land just a couple of years ago. It pretty much looks like a typical assisted living or healthcare center built as it would be for market rate, except it would be for seniors, low-income seniors. It would have dining facilities, multi-purpose rooms, and other types of amenities for the residents. So for the purpose of this meeting, that is an overview of the project that the developer is doing, and the Oklahoma City Housing Authority is trying to go down the road of administrative approvals to allocate its project-based Section 8 vouchers to the project so that it can subsidize the operations of it for its construction. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, questions for Ian?
Is there a transit line that goes to this site?
There's no transit line, but most of the seniors that live in these types of facilities do not go a long way around after the site. It is near a lot of services. That we like this site a lot because it is north of some targeted low-income areas to the south, but is also adjacent to the Memorial Road corridor. It's just south of Chisholm Creek and Topgolf. So you can access a lot of amenities and health care nearby, and we anticipate providing on-site transportation for the residents so that they can access both health care and services like Quail Springs Mall and other shopping areas in the area.
Okay.
Ian, I had the chance to visit the Commons on Classen recently, which is just a fantastic project. How does this differ from that type of affordable senior housing?
So the residents in Commons on Classen basically live what's called independent, so they do not need assistance for the activities of daily living. So when they will need that assistance, sometimes in terms of mobility or accessibility to kitchen and cooking or all sorts of different things, the best thing they can do is move into assisted living. So a lot of times, for the Housing Authority in particular, because we do not have these types of facilities in the market, we bring the services to those units for home health care, and that's still the most robust area of services that is available. But this facility allows someone to move, have their own one-bedroom apartment, have their own amenities and services directly on site, because they can no longer live independently.
So one might live at Classen at the Commons and at some point move into a facility like this.
That's exactly right. So once you would live in a place like Commons on Classen, the next step in health care service, assuming you can no longer live independently, would be either this type of facility or skilled nursing care.
Okay, thank you.
John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to take this opportunity to thank Ian and also the Executive Director of the Oklahoma Housing Authority for thinking outside of the box to offer more services to the elderly population. And I also thank you for naming this complex after the late John Johnson, who was the former Executive Director of the Oklahoma City Housing Authority. John Johnson years ago try to get the housing authority to start thinking outside the box to transform public housing. So I just want to thank Mark Gillette and also the trustees, the Housing Authority trustees. Good to see you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Ian.
Any comments or questions from council? Okay, so we're going to be voting a couple of times. The council's going to vote once, and then the Housing Authority will vote on their end. I'll look for a motion on the council. All right, all in favor from the council's perspective, say aye. And it passes unanimously. And Francis is serving as secretary for the Housing Authority this morning.
I'm calling for a motion for approval of the joint resolution.
I would like to make that motion that we approve this joint resolution on nomination.
And now for a roll call vote. Trustee Boyd?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Mashburn? And Trustee Swoop? Thank you. It was approved unanimously.
All right, thank you all very much. I think that deserves a round of applause for this a wonderful investment in Oklahoma City. And, with the baby boom generation at the stage of their life they're in, these needs are only going to increase going forward. And I know America's behind on all of the infrastructure that's going to be necessary, but Oklahoma City's way ahead of most, and our Housing Authority is partly responsible for that. So thanks for y'all commitment to this great work. Anything else you guys need? All right, I'm going to adjourn the joint meeting, and we'll keep the council meeting in process, and I'm going to continue the meeting down low. And to start, I'm going to ask Katie Francis to join me up here. Now, you may know Katie, you may not, but she represents thousands of girls in the state of Oklahoma who sell Girl Scout cookies. Now, you're probably thinking, a really good, successful Girl Scout can probably sell not just dozens, but hundreds of cookies. Katie, how many cookies did you sell this year?
Well, I sold about 15,499, which brought my total record to 101,106 boxes.
Right, so, whatever obesity issue exists in Oklahoma City is at least partially Katie's responsibility. No, I kid. This is an amazing accomplishment. She was on the Jimmy Fallon show recently to talk about being the record-setting Girl Scout cookie salesperson, and we have a citation. I'll ask the clerk to read it.
Whereas Oklahoma City's Katie Francis is the all-time Girl Scout cookie selling champion. Whereas Katie, a high school freshman, has sold more than 100,000 boxes of Girl Scout cookies in her 7 years as a Girl Scout. Katie's sales techniques include singing original songs about Girl Scout cookies set to the tune of pop hits. Whereas Katie appeared on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, where she sold the talk show host her record-breaking 101,106 box of cookies, and also picked up a $15,000 donation to the Girl Scouts of America. Whereas the annual sale of Girl Scout cookies started in the Sooner State 100 years ago in Muskogee. Whereas proceeds from the cookie sales go to the local Girl Scout Council and troops and local, state, and global nonprofit organizations, including Compassion International, Make-A-Wish Foundation, Habitat for Humanity, WildCare Oklahoma, and the Oklahoma City YWCA. Now, therefore, Mick Cornett, the mayor of the city of Oklahoma City, does hereby congratulate Katie Francis on her record-setting cookie sales and commends her dedication to the Girl Scouts of America.
All right, let's hear it for Katie. It's for you. And Katie, as you can guess by now, is a great ambassador, not just for Oklahoma City and the state of Oklahoma, but also for Girl Scouts of America. So I'm going to just hand you the microphone and allow you to talk about Girl Scouts of America and encourage other girls to get involved.
Well, I've really enjoyed every part of Girl Scouts, not just the cookie sale. One of the greatest things about the cookie sale is that I find so many people in the community support me. So I really enjoy giving back to the community with all sorts of really fun projects and community service work. And also outside our community, my troop is going to be taking a trip to Barbados. But it's really every part of it. It is a learning experience. And everything that I do for Girl Scouts is prepping me for later on in life. And it's just such a wonderful organization.
Thank you, Katie. Let's show our appreciation one more time. Congratulations. You bet.
Mayor, could I just take a second and recognize the Girl Scouts of Oklahoma CEO, Shannon Evers, is here. Shannon, you want to wave at everybody? She's done a fabulous job.
All right, big day coming up Friday, May 19th. It's Bike to Work Day. So I'm going to ask our staff that's been involved in this organization, and we have a proclamation. I'll ask the clerk to read it as we get settled.
Whereas for more than a century, the bicycle has been an important part of the lives of most Americans. Today, thousands of Oklahomans engage in bicycling as a viable and environmentally friendly form of transportation, an excellent form of exercise and a great recreational activity for individuals and families. Whereas educating bicyclists and motorists regarding proper and safe operation of bicycles is important to ensuring the safety and comfort of all users. Whereas bicycling promotes a healthy lifestyle that lends itself to a healthy community and environment. Whereas downtown OKC, the Oklahoma City Department of Transportation, the Oklahoma City Police Bike Patrol Unit, Embark, Oklahoma City County Health Department, Association of Central Oklahoma Governments, the Oklahoma Bicycle Society, local bicycling clubs, and bicycle shops throughout Oklahoma City are promoting greater public awareness of bicycle operation and safety education in an effort to reduce accidents, injuries, and fatalities for all. Whereas Plan OKC, the comprehensive plan of Oklahoma City, promotes a bicycle-friendly environment and the development of a bicycle network that can be used by riders of all ages and abilities. Now therefore, Mick Cornett, the mayor of the city of Oklahoma City, does hereby proclaim Friday, May 19th as Bike to Work Day in Oklahoma City, and he encourages all residents to always wear a helmet when riding a bicycle and to recognize the importance of bicycle safety and to be more aware of cyclists on our city streets.
Let's show our appreciation to our city staff who's working on bicycle safety and Bike to Work Day. What do we need to know?
So on Friday, May 19th, we're having a group bike ride where people can go to different parks around the city and travel downtown to Myriad Gardens, and we will be serving free coffee. Jeff Newman from the Oklahoma Bicycle Society will be there to say a few words on where we're going as a city to become more bike-friendly, and you can go to downtownokc.com/bike-to-work-day to learn more about that.
Wonderful. And what time should cyclists arrive at the Botanical Gardens this Friday?
So we will be meeting at 8:15 at Myriad Gardens.
All right, so everyone is invited to get on your bike from wherever you live and ride downtown to work and show up at the Myriad Botanical Gardens about 8:15. Also, the council and I have been working on an upcoming infrastructure bond issue. There's going to be lots of enhancements for cycling, both as transportation and as recreation. And so it's a great opportunity for us to continue to raise awareness. And that means those of us who are not going to be riding a bike on Friday need to be more aware that other people are, and to keep our eyes and ears open to make sure we stop at all those four-way stops, not assuming that we don't see a car coming because there might be a cyclist that we have not been able to see. So let's do it safely, and let's continue to encourage people to get on their bikes and use it for not just recreation but for transportation as well. And how about a round of applause for our planning staff that's been very involved in all of this. Thank you all very much. Thanks. Really appreciate your work on this. Thanks so much. You're making a real difference. Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm going to ask the girls from the Millwood High School track and field team to come forward. John, you want to join us down here? Councilman Pettis is a proud alumnus of Millwood High School. Come on up, Coach. We have a resolution. I'll ask the clerk to read it as the girls settle up front.
Whereas the Millwood women's track team won the 2017 State High School Track Championship, and whereas it's the Falcons' third state championship since 2014, whereas the 4x100 and the 4x200 relay team of Brianna Berry, Destiny Gooden, Jalea Plummer, and Tanaya McMillan, and the 4x400 relay team of July Plummer, Destiny Gooden, Jaslyn Caldwell, Tanaya McDaniel, all placed first in the state meet. Whereas Tanaya McMillan added a first-place finish in the 200-meter dash, and Maya Forshee placed first in the shot put. Whereas other top finishers in the state track meet included Lyric Love, third place shot put, Kiara Williams, sixth place in the 200-meter dash, and Brianna Bailey, sixth place in the 100-meter dash. Whereas the Falcons, coached by Jerron Anderson, coupled big dreams with hard work to represent the city of Oklahoma City in a positive manner on the statewide stage.
And we're going to need to vote on this one. John, you want to make a motion? All right, is there a second? Cast your votes. Congratulations to the Millwood High School girls track team. And is it Tanaya that set the state record in the 200? Tanaya, which one are you? No girl in this class has ever run the 200 faster than Tanaya in the state of Oklahoma. State track record. And while we're honoring Millwood High School, I think on the boys' side, the boys' 200-meter champion also set the state record.
His name is Demarion Houston.
And the boys' team finished second, so they don't get to come down to City Hall, but perhaps next year. Let's send these girls back to school today with a big round of applause. It's great to see you all representing them. Thank you very much. Thanks very much. Congratulations. 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 Thanks. Congratulations. Congratulations. Way to go. Great to see you all. Thanks very much. Way to go. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you all very much. And we go from high school girls to the collegiate women of Oklahoma City University. I'll ask the OCU women's basketball team to come forward along with their coaching staff. We have a resolution. I'll ask the clerk to read it.
Whereas the Oklahoma City University's women's basketball team won its record 9th NAIA National Championship, beating Lewis and Clark State 73-66 in the championship game in Billings, Montana. Whereas the Stars were led in the championship game by Daniela Wallen's 25 points and Daniela Galindo's 19 points. Whereas Daniela Wallen was named the tournament's most outstanding player and NAIA Player of the Year for the season. For the season, she averaged 24.6 points, 8.8 rebounds, 1.9 assists, and 3.81 steals a game. She also led the NAIA Division I in points with 886 and 137 steals, ranking second in steals a game. Whereas Coach Bo Overton's Stars led the NAIA in field goal percentage, 51.6%, free throw percentage, 77.7%, and assists, 669. Coach Overton was named the Phyllis Holmes NAIA Division I Coach of the Year. Whereas OCU ended the season on a 20-game winning streak and finished with a record of 34-2. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the City of Oklahoma City that they do hereby congratulate the Oklahoma City University Stars on winning the 2016-17 NAIA Division I National Championship.
And we will need a motion from council. And a second? All right, girls, see if you got enough votes. It passes unanimously. Congratulations. And, yeah, let's show a round of applause. Coach, which one is Daniela, the NAIA National Player of the Year? Yeah. Yeah, congratulations, Daniela. That's fantastic. And, Coach, of course, I'm dating myself, but I covered Bo Overton when he was Oklahoma High School Player of the Year at Ada, and then the record-setting University of Oklahoma point guard and shooting guard. So congratulations, Bo, on the way your career has taken off as a coach. I ran into Bo about December, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but coaches of really good teams almost always undersell how good their team is because they want their players to continue to work hard. And I said, "How's your team this year?" And he said, "We're really good." And about that time, they went on the 20-game winning streak, and a record of 34-2 speaks for itself. But these young women represent Oklahoma City all over the country when they're out playing. Our names are on those jerseys. When people are watching them play, they're thinking about Oklahoma City. When they're winning national champions and our coach is being determined to be the National Coach of the Year, these are great things for Oklahoma City as we continue to build our brand around the country. And I've seen a group of ladies that look healthier and more physically fit, and again, that's a great image for Oklahoma City to be presenting to the rest of the country. So let's show a round of applause as these ladies leave the stage. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Congratulations. Thanks very much. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
Mayor, I'm going to one-up you. Coach Overton's father was my high school basketball coach back at Capitol Hill High School, so we go way back. Coach Overton sometimes would come out at halftime and dribble around on the court, but he comes from a great basketball family and has done just terrific.
He was out there showing off on the court, during the halftime of the games?
Yes. Yeah.
Ball boy.
Yes.
He's come a long way. Girls, thank you very much.
Tremendous job.
Thanks. Also this month, I'll ask Laradia Stevens to come forward. 24 school districts serve the city of Oklahoma City, and we are so fortunate that the Oklahoma City Rotary Club allows us to honor one each month as our Teacher of the Month. And this month's winner is Laradia Stevens, and she's from the Classen School of Advanced Studies. I almost put a different high school in there. Thank you for correcting me just in time when I had things thrown at me, I'm sure. We have a resolution. I'll ask the clerk to read it.
Whereas Laradia Stevens has been named Teacher of the Month for May 2017 by the Oklahoma City Public Schools and the Rotary Club of Oklahoma City. Laradia is a native of Del City and has been an educator at Classen School of Advanced Studies since 2007, where she teaches 8th grade U.S. history and Oklahoma history. Whereas Laradia has earned several degrees, a Bachelor of Arts in History in 1999, a Master of Arts in History in 2002, and a Bachelor of Arts in Social Studies Education in 2007. Whereas she has received numerous honors throughout her career, including 2015-16 Classen School of Advanced Studies Teacher of the Year, 2016 Oklahoma History Day Teacher of the Year, 2016 Oklahoma City Public Schools Teacher of the Year finalist, and 2015 Oklahoma Historical Society Outstanding Teacher Award. Whereas her leadership positions at the school, including serving as the school coordinator for the National History Day competition, Social Studies Department Chair, Key Club Sponsor, Builders Club Sponsor, and Dance Team Sponsor. Whereas Laradia has also been involved with the Miss American pageant system for 16 years and currently volunteers as the Executive Director of the Miss Oklahoma State Fair Scholarship Pageant. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the City of Oklahoma City that they do hereby recognize and commend Laradia Stevens on her selection as the May 2017 Teacher of the Month by the Oklahoma City Public Schools and the Rotary Club of Oklahoma City.
Let's show our appreciation to Laradia Stevens. And that's for you. We'll need a motion to make this official. All right, cast your votes. Congratulations. And yeah, way to go. And and Laradia, you teach at one of the finest high schools in America, and I'm sure there's some people you want to thank for this award.
Absolutely. I want to thank, first of all my students who I told them I'd be gone today, but I didn't tell them why. So I'll tell them when I get back. The administration at Classen School of Advanced Studies, Ashley Davis. I see our foundation president here, Mary, and our superintendent is here as well. I don't think you're here for me today, but It's a happy coincidence. So I'm glad that you are here, and my husband is here. I want to thank him as well, all my family and friends who inspired me to go into the teaching profession. I really hope to have a career in law and realized it wasn't for me. And so after a lot of pushing and prodding, they said, become a teacher. And I was like, okay. I did that and have loved it every moment. My first teaching interview was at Classen SAS. I got the job, and I have been there every single moment of my teaching career. So I love teaching social studies, and again, I'm getting my giddy history teacher stuff going because I'm like, this is cool. This is so cool. I've never been in the council chambers, and I want my students to see this. It looks Art Deco, everything about it. I love history. So it makes me excited to be here, and I know I feel like a nerdy history teacher, but I absolutely love it. It is such a privilege and an honor from the City of Oklahoma City and the Downtown Votary for this outstanding achievement. I'm pretty impressed with myself, so thank you very much.
Thank you. We really appreciate your commitment to education. Thank you. We're very much appreciated. Thank you. All right, we're on item 3 of the council agenda, and item 3D is a presentation by Roy Williams, the president of the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce, who's going to come forward today and discuss the Innovation District and our relationship with Brookings and their findings of an 18-month study. Roy?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mayor, members of council, Mr. City Manager, thank you for the opportunity to share some information with regard to the Innovation District. I'll be brief as always in my remarks, but certainly be willing to take any questions or observations you might have. A really quick recap. The Chamber has been working actively in the bioscience sector for more than 2 decades now, and then more recently with GE's recent presence here, we began seeing the potential for bringing research from multiple different industries together, and then in anticipation of discoveries that might result from that. And so concurrently with that, we also have been tracking the Brookings Metropolitan Policy Program for a number of years as well. Specifically their research and their work centers around the rapid growth of economic development and innovation in the hearts of metropolitan cities. So we struck up a conversation a couple of years ago with Bruce Katz, who is the head of the Brookings Metropolitan Policy Program, about the potential that we thought existed here in Oklahoma City and the connection of that to some of the work that he has been doing globally on innovation districts. Those conversations eventually led to a formal engagement of the Brookings Institute, and the Chamber, along with the Alliance for Economic Development, the Health Center Foundation, the Presbyterian Health Foundation, Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation, and the OU Health Science Center collaboratively came together and actually funded this first study of a new initiative. And the initiative was the BASS Initiative on Innovation and Placemaking that actually brought together the Brookings Institution and the Project for Public Spaces for the first time ever in the history of those 2 entities. So they did an extensive study here, a lot of engagement, a lot of research, and they came back to us with 4 recommendations. Those recommendations include, first of all, to establish an Oklahoma Center for Energy and Health Collaboration that would serve really as not only the physical but the programmatic umbrella for innovation and applied research within those sectors and other sectors. The center should, according to them, also house a translational research and commercialization office for really cross-cutting industry research applications. The second recommendation they made is that we implement a technology-based economic development and entrepreneurship effort within the Innovation District that is tasked with overseeing specific business development, technology, business attraction, marketing, regional cluster development between entrepreneurs, small and medium-sized enterprises, and large firms. Their third recommendation was to create a more dense and a more active and a better connected mixed-use urban environment in and around the Innovation District. They suggested that leaders should undertake intentional land use and real estate developments, implement new placemaking efforts and programs, and strengthen connections between the health center and Automobile Alley. That would include improving bike and pedestrian routes within the health center itself, and then make the Innovation District really more porous and connected to the residential neighborhoods that surround it. And finally, their fourth recommendation was to form a standing committee on diversity and inclusion that would be charged with overseeing the design of strategies aimed at forging better economic, social, and physical connections, both between the Innovation District and the underserved communities that are around it. And that the committee should focus on issues such as education, workforce development, entrepreneurship, and placemaking and neighborhood development. So those were their recommendations. The real good thing is we didn't wait until we got the recommendations to start working, because we sort of knew what some of them were going to be. So we started really two advances a number of months ago. The first was the beginning of a series of symposiums around technologies that cut across multiple industries. These are not exclusive to the district itself, but they address industry across our entire region. The first one that we did, and it was hosted at GE, was on imaging, and it included researchers from aerospace, bioscience, and the energy sector. It brought together people from within the district as well as the Federal Aviation Administration at the airport and Boeing, out by Tinker and others. Although there was limited capacity for people to take part in this, it was probably one of the most fascinating things that's ever happened in Oklahoma City. To hear these internationally acclaimed researchers who are in Oklahoma City and who come from Asia, Europe, Middle East, and are now living here and are really premier professionals, talk about the application of imaging in their particular industry. Not only was it eye-opening to people like me who went there, but it was eye-opening to each other, because they didn't know what else was going on here within Oklahoma City. We now have planning underway for another set of these sessions. The next one will be bringing multiple industry sectors together who will talk about the application of data analytics within their industry sector. And then we'll do another one on sensor technology, because sensor technology is also industry cross-cutting. So a second thing we did beside those was the Health Science Center Foundation, which has been around for a number of years. They have agreed and announced that they are going to transform that entity really to lead this effort, meaning running the Innovation District. So that will bring additional staff and additional professionals to that entity as it sort of morphs into this new entity. I'll conclude with telling you a couple of challenges that were outlined, and the biggest ones are really around creating connectivity between the district and its neighbors and among the various components actually within the district itself. There was a lot of discussion around the barrier that I-235 presents in connecting the innovation activity to our downtown. And actually, we will be going to Columbus, Ohio this year on the Chamber's intercity visit to look at how they have addressed this, because they have done that. They have eliminated barriers like we have on 235 over interstates that they have in downtown. And we would welcome and encourage any of you who want to go on that with us. Another challenge is that the Health Science Center here in Oklahoma City is actually part of the Capital Planning Commission. And that commission dictates land use and development in the Health Science Center. So for us to diversify the physical nature of that space, we're going to need significant changes in how land use is approached, Because right now, there's real heavy restrictions as to what can go on inside the Health Science Center. And placemaking would also become a priority of that. So we're going to be working on that. And finally, it was pointing out the need that we have in the Innovation District for incubator space, for more local capital formation, for mentoring and support services, which are all sort of vital components of supporting the innovation ecosystem. So I'll conclude with that. Certainly be willing to answer any questions, or if anybody might have one.
Roy, yeah. David, I see you putting on your mic.
Well, just a couple of questions or comments, really, Roy. You know, in the business community, often businesses can be very competitive with one another and protect certain information that they create and develop. But this is different, it seems like to me, and my understanding working with our clients who have a focus on technology development is that the collaboration among technology companies is very impressive. I mean, it's very giving to one another. And when you mention the fact that there's a need for incubator space and additional capital, if we could somehow work to develop almost like we have with sister cities, but relationships with other technology areas, whether it's in Pittsburgh or out west in Silicon Valley, to be able to share the ideas that we're generating here in Oklahoma City with their innovation districts to see if they could assist, again, especially in the area of capital, to be brought into Oklahoma City, just to create some kind of relationship. Maybe it's asking too much, but I just think there's some potential
Well,
there.
actually, the Brookings Institute has sort of broached that subject about bringing together, maybe on an annual basis, innovation district entities across the country and maybe even across the world to do that,
Yes.
to talk about collaboration of the innovation districts.
Right.
So that's right on target.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, Ed?
I have three questions. I enjoyed reading the study very much, and I appreciate your role in making this happen. I think this is the key to diversifying our economy and the way forward, and they showed 4 other cities how this is working throughout the country. But it identifies a lot of headwinds, as you described, and specifically maybe the most sobering line was, but time is not on Oklahoma City's side. Analysts predict that in many of these technologies, geographic dominance will be defined within the next 5 to 10 years. As we get ready to put a general obligation bond, which has potentially a 10-year time frame and commits us to the kind of projects where potentially we would draw from to make the changes that you alluded to, where would you see the investment dollars coming from to kind of make the changes to the infrastructure, the connectivity, the walkability, the placemaking, and where, if we pass the bond as a 10-year commitment and these things aren't in there, where could we potentially draw from?
There are some national private developers who are attracted to innovation districts. Philadelphia and St. Louis and a number of other ones have actually brought in developers who have built facilities that contain a lot of these kind of infrastructure needs. So, each community addresses it kind of however their resources allow them to do it. But there is interest in the development community nationally to be a part of innovation districts.
But in terms of the public improvements to the streets, should we reserve space for this? Should we look?
Well, I think there's still a lot of research that needs to take place on kind of how and what all you need to do from an infrastructure standpoint to make it more accessible, more walkable, more amenable to housing, commercial, all of that. Another challenge is property, because pretty much all the property up there is owned by foundations, institutions, research entities and stuff, and they have to be willing as well to either partner or release some of that property for further development too. So kind of until you get a consensus on what the overall master plan is, it's kind of difficult to know really what is the appetite for really kind of changing the whole model up there.
Right.
Because it was really built as a campus as opposed to being built as a community. And the new paradigm is community.
So the second question is kind of the elephant in the living room. I mean, they spend a lot of time talking about workforce development, education. They talk about, I mean, we wouldn't be having this conversation if it wasn't University of Oklahoma's presence there. They talk about potentially having OSU robotics programs maybe come to the area. And I appreciate everything you're doing nationally with the headwinds you have against you from our legislature, which, I mean, just constantly steps on its foot and embarrasses us and creates these headwinds that you have to compete against in retaining and attracting companies here. But it seems like a substantial headwind against this kind of investment. I mean, how do you convince developers, companies who understand how innovation districts work and understand the need for education funding, but then Oklahoma leading the country over the last decade in cuts to education, and legislators like Representative Ritzie making comments like he's made in the last 2 weeks and continuing to get us national attention that create headwinds against these kind of endeavors?
It's a huge challenge. But it is what it is. You know, we have to live with what we have. We continue to try to work with the legislature to change that. But the other thing is that states and metropolitan areas are two different places. And Oklahoma City has kind of taken the track of not relying on the state so much for resources, but taking initiatives on its own and doing things by itself, which is more reflective of what's going on nationally. Now more and more metropolitan areas are pulling the state instead of the state pulling the metropolitan areas. And I think we're a great example of that. Yeah, those are tough headwinds, but it is what it is, and we have to deal with it, and we have to continue to use the metro area in Oklahoma City as a model of how you overcome those kind of headwinds despite that.
Do you think if we take the initiatives, I mean, if somehow Oklahoma City Public Schools continue to improve, that you can sell that?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely.
Like you said, the metropolitan area is separate from the state.
Correct.
And they won't necessarily...
Right. When you look at the demographics and economics of the metro versus the state, they're totally different. Income levels are different, education levels are different, the demographics, the population, the trends are all extremely different. So selling the metro is a whole lot easier than selling the state.
Okay. Third and final question. I read through all the energy portion of the report, lots of reference to oil and gas. I didn't see any reference to renewables and how that could potentially fit into the equation. General Electric has a presence there, obviously. They make a lot of wind parts. I mean, that would seem to be a natural symbiotic relationship, but you'd have to have the oil and gas companies not... There are certain oil and gas companies that are diversifying into renewables. There are some oil and gas companies that are resisting change. I mean, do you see a place for renewable energy industries at the table in an innovation district like this?
Sure. I mean, there's nothing off the table. There's opportunities everywhere. I mean, I think that's why the Brookings Institute has said we could be a global model on a collaboration between energy and bioscience, something that's not being done anywhere, and that the potential commercialization out of that and the ideas that might come out of that would be revolutionary in many, many different areas. So it's kind of hard to predict. What are those going to be? We don't know until these companies start collaborating, because they've been operating in silos in their history. And once they break out of those, where you start collaborating not only with your partners but with your competitors, you begin finding some new discoveries. And that's the hope that the sky's the limit.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, Jim?
Councilman, if I go back to address your first question a little bit, I think there's a lot of things in both the GO bond issue and the sales tax proposition that address these specific concerns. No, we don't have money in there to cap 235 at this point in time. But we clearly have money in there for sidewalks, for bike lanes, for streetscapes to be included, for street improvements to be done, as a part of it that could be used as part of this area. Secondly, in the GO bonds, we also have proposed a GOLT allocation, part of which could be used for job creation like we've used in the past to bring jobs into the area. Secondly, a portion of that will be set aside for affordable housing, to bring housing that could go in there to bring for a portion of that area. And thirdly, last December, we reformatted the tax increment financing districts in that area. TIF 1, TIF 7, and the new one that was created, which will help position us to help develop and provide those tools as development occurs in the area. So I would submit to you that there's a number of tools that are out there that will be point on for the Innovation District.
There also is some work being done right now on the 10th Street corridor, isn't there? And that connection with the Health Sciences Center as part of the GE campus.
That's correct.
Yes.
Lots of ways for us to be involved.
What's the next step in terms of streetscapes and public infrastructure? I mean, identifying, is there a master plan in terms of how we might utilize or deploy those things that you outlined?
There's a couple of things. On the sidewalks, there's sidewalks money in the GO bond. On the sidewalks, we're also specifically trying to finish up the large list that was put together, but the consultants put together on MAPS 3. Try to do that. But there's going to be money to put sidewalks in a number of areas. There's already a biking and master plan that we're trying to implement along that, trails that we put in. And so, excuse me. And so there are some things that have been developed by the planning department.
So, the study is very clear that placemaking is the key. That's the power of cities, is the chance encounter. So you create places for people to congregate at lunch, and then the next Alexis might come out of some conversation. So, that placemaking, is the planning department working on?
They are on the sales tax portion. Keep in mind, we'll have a citizen oversight committee, but that'll certainly be one of the opportunities that they'll have to continue to look at where this can be a catalyst. We always want, our investments to be a catalyst, and this is one of the great opportunities we have.
Right.
And don't forget the zoning aspect. Some of the zoning is going to need to be changed in this area, and so we're going to play a role in that too.
Okay. Thank you.
One more thing, Mr. Mayor. Mr. President, how involved has the state of Oklahoma been with the Innovation District? And I bring it up because as we talk about maybe the cap for 235, I think the state could play a very important role in the cap. I don't believe that there should be solely the city of Oklahoma City's responsibility to do the cap. I think there are several state entities, such as the Oklahoma Land Commission, whose job is to generate revenue for the state. Maybe they can come in and assist with the cap. So how involved is the state of Oklahoma in regards to the Innovation District, and have we reached out to the Oklahoma Land Commission as it relates to the cap over 235?
That's a broad question. The Department of Commerce is actually in the Innovation District, the Oklahoma Department of Commerce. So they have been engaged in it. But we've also reached out to the Department of Transportation, Mike Patterson, Gary Ridley. They have been in a number of our work sessions and seminars. They have been very receptive to doing that and to playing whatever role they could. And until we get sort of more specific thoughts and ideas of exactly what do we want to do, because you can do anything from just widening existing structures to building pedestrian crossings to actually building additional vehicle crossings to actually capping. So there's just multiple things that you can do, plus you can do it in stages. So there's not been any kind of request yet for anything specific. But Department of Transportation, not necessarily Land Commission, we haven't really engaged them yet, but we certainly could. They are very open to what we're talking about, and we're actually inviting them to go to Columbus with us to see what their Department of Transportation did, because their state played a major role in helping.
If you all could reach out to the Oklahoma Land Commission, because, again, they are the entity who's responsible for making the state money for us trying to the field of education. And so I think this is a perfect opportunity to get them at the table And so I just wanted to throw that
Good.
out.
Appreciate that. We'll do that.
All right, thank you.
Councilman, my understanding with the State Land Commission is they're trying to take some of their funds and invest it in areas where they can get a direct return to get that back into education, to grow that fund for education. Capping 235 isn't a project that can have indirect returns and do things. I'm not sure that investment would be a direct return, but we can certainly have that conversation.
Well, now some of the cities that have capped their interstates, they've been able to build buildings on top of what they have done. So I'm talking.
I understand that, but the cost of the cap is probably going to not make that a great direct return on investment. It's probably an indirect return on investment that will help grow the entire area and have non-tangential or non-tangible results. They appear to be more focused on having, if I invest X, I want a certain return on it, which may not be achievable in this particular area.
All right. We'll share opportunities with them.
All right. Roy, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, we have several people here today to talk about Read OKC. I'm going to ask everyone here that's involved in this effort. I see Superintendent Aurora Lohr here, and Teresa Rose Crook, and Mary Malone with the Public Schools Foundation. And we're going to hear all about opportunities to keep our young people reading during the summer.
Absolutely, and hopefully grown-ups as well. Good morning. My name is Teresa Rose Crook, and hopefully you all are either aware of or recall the Oklahoma City Schools Compact. That is a group that's made up of the City of Oklahoma City, so you, the Oklahoma City Chamber, United Way of Central Oklahoma, the Oklahoma City Public Schools Foundation, and of course, Oklahoma City Public Schools. These 5 entities came together to create an entity called the Oklahoma City Schools Compact, with the focus and the mission being to, number one, primarily find ways to create new supports or additional supports for Oklahoma City Public Schools by essentially creating community ownership of our schools and the outcomes. You know, I think most of us recognize that we ask our public schools to do a whole lot of things. We ask them to feed our kids, give them coats, give them school supplies, check their dental record, or not their dental records, their shot records. Well, oftentimes making sure that may be the only time that they do get a dental checkup. Do they have appropriate vision, or do they need eye care? And then at the end of all those lists, we ask them to educate. So the compact essentially was an idea of pulling together what I call the Rolodexes of all of these 5 entities, the resources that those entities have, and finding ways to support Oklahoma City Public Schools and what they are trying to do. So the setup is we have this board. There are 2 representatives from each of those 5 entities. We, working with the school district, identify what their greatest need is, what they ask us to help them with, and then we will set up a task force where we will pull together experts, expertise, resources to execute on that issue. The first task force that the district asked us to put together was literacy, focusing on the lack of reading, the reading gap, if you will, during the summer. But it's not just going to end in the summer. This is a reading initiative that will continue on. So what we launched yesterday with the mayor, I hope that you got to watch the news or saw it on YouTube, I'm sure it's on YouTube already, was our Read OKC, and that is, as the mayor pointed out, our reading program. So Mary Malone, who is president of the Oklahoma City Public Schools Foundation, but also chairs Read OKC, is going to tell you a little bit more about this exciting project.
And thank you, Mayor. You were a very good reader last night. We had the mayor come to our launch event last night that included 20 of our students from Oklahoma City Public Schools who also spend their afternoons at the Boys and Girls Club. So that we bussed them over. The Thunder Bus was there and provided each of those children with a couple of books, and Mayor Cornett read a really great book about a pigeon needing a bath.
and it was a hit. It really was. But I'm happy to be with you today to share a little bit more about what we really call a movement towards creating a culture and a love of reading for our entire community. And we're starting with Oklahoma City Public Schools children, really zeroing in on pre-K through 6th graders. And what our task force has come together to talk about are 3 primary issues. One is access. We need to make sure that these kids have access to reading materials in the summertime and also when they're out of school, anytime. We want to focus on community outreach. We want as many community partners as we possibly can get to be involved in promoting this culture of reading, and we want visibility, of course. So we have a PR and marketing committee, we have a community outreach committee, and we have an access committee made up of about 50 community volunteers who are from all parts of the city. We have business leaders, we have community leaders, we have faith-based leaders. All parts of the city are involved in making this work, and it really is a collective impact model where we're all working together focused on the singular issue of making sure our kids are reading. So last night was the launch of Read OKC. In addition, it was the launch of our summer reading program, which is called Get in the Game. And we've pulled in partnerships with all of our professional teams, the Thunder, the Energy, and the Dodgers. We had mascots in all their glory there last night to help us promote this to our kids, because we know how much our kids identify with these professional sports teams. So we launched Get in the Game, which is a summer reading program giving our kids a goal of reading 1,200 minutes this summer. That equates to 20 minutes per day. So that's an easy to measure chunk of time that we want our kids to be reading. And then we'll end the summer reading program with the beginning of the school, celebrations at the schools, lots of incentives to hopefully inspire these kids to keep on reading. We've got 3 amazing education partners working with us that are already well embedded in the school district, and that is Scholastic, Mayan, which is a digital reading platform, and the Metropolitan Library System, who has come up with a plan called One Card that allows our kids to have library cards without having to go through the application process. They have a card just by having their student ID. So all of these partners are working together to help change the culture, and I'm going to have Superintendent Laura talk a little bit about how important it is for our kids to be reading not just in school but out of school.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary. Well, yes, yesterday was super fun when we were there with the kids, talking to them about all the options we're getting and all the ways we're trying to encourage them to read. As Mary mentioned, they have 3 different things. One is they're able to use their student ID to check out books from any library. Mayan is essentially a Netflix for books, where every kid's got an account in OKCPS, and so it says, oh, if you like this book about squirrels, you might also like these books about blah, 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 other animals or ghosts or whatever. And so it's really fun. We're trying to get every kid hooked into reading. And the reason we're trying to do this is because basically in the summertime, as you know, when kids go off on vacation, they start to forget things that they learned at the end of the school year. And what ends up happening, that's called the summer slide. And what ends up happening is when the kids come back to school in the fall, the teachers have to start to review the stuff that they've probably forgotten. What we're hoping is that we can eliminate the summer slide, that kids can keep their brains active, they can keep learning over the summer, so that they're that much further when they start back at the start of the next school year. And so what we've done is we've told kids you have all kinds of different ways to read. We gave out free books yesterday. They get free books from the Thunder and Scholastic. They all have Mayan. They can use their library cards. And if they read for 20 minutes a day, we're asking them to track how much they've read over the summer, turn in their reading log sheets at the end of the summer so they can qualify for prizes, and we'll do big celebrations. And more than just kids, we're actually trying to encourage everyone to become readers. And so I would like to challenge you as city council members to also read for 20 minutes a day and to tweet about your love of reading as well. So,
great idea.
Thank you so much, and I think we'll answer any questions you have.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for these ladies who are taking this important task on. And I wonder where the council can help. There's a number of neighborhood meetings that we attend over the summers. Good to remind the people that come to the neighborhood meetings about the importance of reading to their kids or grandkids 20 minutes a day. But Mary hit on a key point. It's the culture of education that we're trying to establish and improve upon. Every community has a list of priorities in their culture, and education is just not high enough in the state of Oklahoma and in Oklahoma City. And by continuing to talk about how our young people need to read 20 minutes a day, as Aurora said, you'll get adults reading 20 minutes a day. You'll get their younger brothers and sisters engaged in reading, even if they're just looking at the pictures. They're going to be hearing things. And it's about the culture of Oklahoma City and making learning and making reading a larger part of our culture. So I want to really show my appreciation for this task, for taking it on, and I know it's going to be successful. And the council and I will be pledged to do our part. Thank you. You bet. Thanks. And as if we planned this, we have some third graders from St. John's Episcopal School in the back. Mrs. Elmer, the teacher. Would you all please stand so we can get a good look at you? Thank you all for coming down today. And I hope you all were paying attention and plan to read at least 20 minutes a day. And be sure and gather your younger brothers and sisters and your dogs and cats around whenever you're going to read this summer, and then log it down so you can keep track of how much reading you did this summer. And we're thrilled that you came down to watch City Council meeting this morning, too. You obviously have some parents and teachers in your lives that care a great deal. Thank you. All right, we're on item 3 of the council agenda, and I think all we have left on item 3 is a series of appointments, so I'll look for a motion.
Can I ask one question about, this is Wiley Williams from our municipal councilor's office. Mm-hmm. So there are times on the IMSA Trust where they've been instructed not to talk, including to us. How would that work? Would he be precluded? Would our own municipal councilor be
He would be, as a trustee, Kenny's not here, I'm going to give a legal opinion.
Right.
As a trustee, he would be bound by the same confidentiality.
Of the other trustees?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's other attorneys.
Right.
On the IMSA board.
Right.
All right, is there a motion? Second? Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. On to item 4, it's the Journal of Council Proceedings. 4A is to receive the journal for May 2nd, and 4B is to approve the journal for April 25th. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on the journal? All right, cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 5 is request for uncontested continuances.
Mayor, outside of item 9A, which is listed on the agenda as being deferred till June 20th, I've got a number starting on page 23 under 9D1. Item A, 11210 South Anderson Road. We ask that be stricken. The owner secured. Item B, 11510 South Anderson Road. We ask that be stricken. The owner has secured. Item H, 2805 Southwest 54th Street. We ask that be stricken. The owner has secured. Moving on to item 9E1, item A, 11210 South Anderson Road. We ask that be stricken. Owner has secured. Item B, 11510 South Anderson Road. We ask that be stricken. The owner has secured. And finally, item I, 2805 Southwest 54th Street. We ask that be stricken. The owner has secured.
All right, we're on to item 6, which is revocable permits. Our first will be held in Ward 7. This is the Board of Regents of the University of Oklahoma asking to hold the OU Medicine Corporate Challenge. Come on up. Good morning, and we'll need your name and address for the record.
Good morning. I'm Alicia Rambo, and my home address?
Either one.
Home address is 212 Smith Avenue, Dale, Oklahoma. I'm the event director for the OU Medicine Corporate Challenge. We're in our 29th year this year. We are the largest business-to-business athletic competition in Oklahoma. We are a 3-day-long competition held this year, June 2nd through the 4th. This year, on June 4th, our Sunday events, we will have a 1-mile walk and the last leg of our kids 10K, which we've asked the mayor to come join us, and we hope that your schedule stays open.
I do too, but I heard you say 10K. Was that right? Did I commit
The
to
last
that?
leg.
The last leg. Okay, good.
Just the last mile.
You don't know how slow I walk. All right,
The kids will lap.
the last leg of the 10K. I'll be there.
And then we also have our 5K, 10K, but that happens after your part.
Okay.
And then we do this to promote health and wellness, obviously, in our community, but also to promote teamwork and cohesiveness amongst our businesses in our community. And I'm here to answer any questions.
All right. Well, this is in Ward 7. John, you okay with this? Second. All right. We're voting on item 6A. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Item 6B is a request from downtown OKC to hold the Bricktown Parklets this summer. Is anyone here from downtown OKC? All right, well, this is something they've done in the past, and I've already seen a few of them seem to pop up. Any motion here? All right, we're voting on item 6B. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 6C is a request from DNA Racing to hold the Oklahoma City Pro-Am June 2nd and 4th. This will be in Midtown, Automobile Alley, and going all over the city in wards 4, 6, and 7. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Chad Hodges, 2908 Woodstock Road. This year we're hosting the 6th annual Oklahoma City Pro-Am Classic with Friday night taking place in Midtown, Saturday in Film Row, and Sunday in Automobile Alley.
How many participants do you expect to have?
This year I think we'll have about 1,200. We see about a 25% increase from year to year. And with this year we have our second annual, it'll be a Fondo that'll be on Saturday. So that'll bring in riders of all abilities, not just your racers, but it offers 3 distances. So we'll probably see another 500 participants from that. And then we've partnered with Red Coyote to have basically a 1-mile sprint on Saturday also. That should be pretty exciting. They offered 3 categories there. One was an invitation only, and it's for people who can run a mile in under 4 minutes and 40 seconds. So I'm pretty psyched to see someone run a mile that fast.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Well, thank you for continuing to invest in this sport. It's a great image for Oklahoma City. We want to get more people on their bikes.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously.
Thanks, Chad. You've done a really great job bringing exciting bike racing to Oklahoma City.
Item 6D is a request with Kathy's Market on Paseo to hold Kathy's on Paseo.
Move for approval.
All right. Looks like someone's coming up to speak. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is John Jacobson. I'm representing Kathy's Market on Paseo.
Okay.
It will be our 17th year to participate, and we will have approximately 100 artists and vendors this year, which is more than we've ever had before. So we're pretty proud of our growth pattern there. We will have all types of artists and vendors from several different states, a wide variety of artists and vendors that we think are going to really put on a really nice festival.
Well, we appreciate you doing this for us. Is there a motion? We already have one, don't we? All right. Let's vote on item 6D. It passes unanimously. Thanks and good luck. And item 6E is a request from the Paseo Arts Association to hold the Paseo Arts Festival. And again, this will be May 27th and the 29th. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Amanda Blakely at 3022 Paseo.
Colin Rosebrook, 3017 Paseo. This is our 41st year for the Paseo Arts Festival, and we're bringing a free venue for the patrons of the city. We have just under 100 artists, nationally juried artists from all over the country. We have probably 46 different bands that have supported us by giving their music abilities and showcasing the state. We will have also a free parking, a free shuttle for the patrons to park at 36 and Walker, the First Christian Church up there, and then they'll be shuttled every 15 minutes, so that'll help in our parking issue and traffic flow. Anything else?
And we have 2 free children's areas. be open during most of the hours of the festival. So.
Where do you recommend people park when they want to come into the Paseo District if they don't come down except once a year?
Well, we would recommend that they park at First Christian Church.
Okay.
Take the shuttle in. And even our volunteers and some of our merchants are planning on doing that.
Great. That's great advice.
It's a circle of, they have 2 shuttles running all the time. So
Okay.
it'll be drop you off at the top and pick you up and take you back to your car.
So not this weekend, but the following weekend, the Paseo Arts Festival. Thank you all. Is there a motion, Ed? It's in Ward 2?
Move for approval.
All right, cast your votes. It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll recess the council meeting, convene as the Oklahoma City Municipal Facilities Authority. Looks like 7 items today. Is there a motion on the MFA?
Move the item.
Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. We'll adjourn the OCMFA, convene as the Oklahoma City Public Property Authority.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the PPA. Any comments or questions here? All right, cast your votes. It passes unanimously. We'll adjourn the OCPPA, convene as the Oklahoma City Environmental Assistance Trust. Just 3 items. Is there a motion on the EAT? Thank you. And cast your votes. It passes unanimously. We'll adjourn the OCEAT and reconvene the council meeting with the consent docket.
Second.
All right, are there any individual considerations?
Mayor, I had 2 I wanted to mention, 7H and 7M3.
Okay. All right, Meg, why don't you jump in on 7H?
Sure, let me see if I can find it here. This is a resolution that authorizes a change in our continuum of care operating agreement with Mental Health Association of Oklahoma. And Jared's here, I think, if anybody has any questions. But this contract had been held by City Rescue Mission, and they notified us that they wanted to, no longer wanted to manage the contract. And I'm so happy to say that Mental Health Association has agreed to step in and take over the rest of the contract. And I think we'll be seeing a lot more of this. You know, for those that aren't aware, we used to have 2 separate mental health associations, one in Oklahoma City and one in Tulsa. That entity has merged into one, and the Tulsa organization is very, very active and has been really successful in providing transitional housing. They own a number of apartment buildings. They offer both affordable and market rate housing in the same complexes. And they're working to bring that concept to Oklahoma City. And there was a recent capital campaign held by Mental Health Association, and of the $15 million they raised, 2 of it was for Oklahoma City specifically. They've already acquired 2 properties that they're beginning to refurbish, and so I think we'll see mental health become an increasingly significant partner with us in providing housing, which is an area in which we're very lacking. And our Social Services Committee is certainly aware that getting people into housing is one of the most important bridges that we can make, and it's an area that we can't fund very well. And so this is a great partnership for us to have, and I wanted to recognize that.
Agreed. Anybody else want to speak on that? All right, Meg, you also wanted to talk about 7N?
I did, if I could, and this is a project. It's a 2007 bond issue project that has finally come to happen. It's the small section of Western between 18th and 23rd Street, and it involves some street resurfacing and streetscape work, landscaping in coordination with some of the property owners. It's another one of these public-private partnerships where our property owners along that stretch have agreed to step in and help maintain the landscaping. Eric's group has worked really hard on this, and I'm really happy to see it come together.
Uh-huh.
I have one. AE is a resolution where we're allocating the $90 million of our GEO bond sale for 2017. I just wanted to point out that $66.4 million of that is going to streets, and so just highlighting the fact that even though it seems like we aren't prioritizing streets and spending money on other stuff, at least to some of our constituents, we really are spending a lot of money on streets as it is, you know. So just wanted to point that out.
Absolutely. All right, I think we got a motion and a second. Let's vote the consent docket. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. And that brings us to the concurrence docket.
Move those items that you for consideration.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9 are items that require separate votes. Our first item has already been deferred at the top of the meeting until June 20th. Item 9A deferred until the June 20th City Council meeting. Item 9B is the closing of a street near Tinker Air Force Base, and this is in Ward 4. Todd, you aware of this?
Yes. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Can I move for continuance, please?
Sure.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. All right. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes on 9B, and it passes unanimously. Item 9C is a public hearing regarding dilapidated structures. Is there anyone here hoping to speak under any item listed under 9C? All right, how about a motion then? Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9D is a public hearing regarding unsecured structures. Is there anyone here hoping to speak under any item listed under 9D?
Mr. Mayor, I do want to point out 9DF 101 East Sheridan Avenue was a commercial building in Ward 7. I do want to point out that this is the former Spaghetti Warehouse building, and so I just give a public plea to the property owners, please get this property secured. We want to see something positive happen, but right now nothing positive is happening with this particular property, so please get this building secured. Thank you.
Yeah. We have a motion and a second on item 9D. This is unsecured structures. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9E is a public hearing regarding abandoned buildings. Is there anyone here hoping to speak under any item listed under 9E? All right, how about a motion? Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9F is a public hearing regarding the removal of property from the abandoned buildings list. We have a couple of items on here. Is there anyone here hoping to speak on either of those items? All right, how about a motion?
Move for approval, but I do have a comment in reference to 4345 North Lincoln and also 4445 North Lincoln. I do want to give credit to Mr. Richard Tenenbaum, who is working diligently and hard to redevelop this particular property. This property has been vacant for and abandoned for some quite time, and maybe a year or two ago, the council will approve the zoning change for this particular property, and it will be in the near future apartment complex. So, and he's been working on getting into historic, and I do believe this property is now historic. So again, I just want to thank Mr. Tenenbaum and his group for turning in what is currently an eyesore, turning it to eventually into a prize along Lincoln.
Thanks, John. All right, we have a motion and a second on 9F. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9G, I understand we do not need executive session.
That's correct.
All right, a motion on 9G. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. And 9H, I understand we do not need executive session.
That's correct.
Is there a motion? Second. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9I, I understand we do not need executive session.
That's correct.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. Item 9J, I understand we do not need executive session.
Right.
Is there a motion? All right, cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9K is claims recommended for denial. Is there anyone here hoping to speak under any item listed under 9K? Is there a second? All right, cast your votes. Those claims are denied. Item 10 is claims recommended for approval. Is there anyone here hoping to speak under any item listed under item 10? All right, cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 11 11 is items from council. John, you have anything for us today?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Meg?
Mayor, I just wanted to pass on a thanks to the fire department. We got a call recently from the Reverend Denny Landrum, and he called the office to say that a smoke alarm went off in their home on Southwest 28th Street about midnight, and they were a little bit frightened. They called 911. Firefighters from Station 19 showed up in a matter of minutes, and it turned out that it was only that the battery alarm was dead in their fire detector, but the firefighters replaced the smoke alarms in their house, and he just wanted us to say thank you so much for the fire department for being so concerned, even over an issue that wasn't as dramatic as it might have been. So I wanted to extend my thanks.
All right. David?
Thank you, Your Honor. May is the month to recognize law enforcement in the United States, and Chief City held his annual prayer breakfast this morning, and he mentioned his gratitude for the community's support for not only our Oklahoma City Police Department, but the county and state law enforcement officers, and I just wanted to share those comments with everyone. Plus, Friday, I believe, is the annual memorial service to be held at police headquarters. Thank you.
All right, thanks, David. Todd?
I just wanted to mention Thursday evening I had the opportunity, or really the honor, to attend the Police Cadet Ball, which is a great program. I just was really so honored and inspired to see these kids that, and it's just for inner city youth, but they're aspiring to become police officers one day. And when you see the program, see what they're going through, it's really a great thing. So I just wanted to say thank you.
All right, Larry?
Thank you, Your Honor. I had the privilege with my wife and some of the other council people to attend the police awards banquet last week. Very uplifting and very deserving the awards to our police officers. We owe a tremendous token of gratitude to our police officers, the way they put their lives on the line. Thank you, Your Honor.
Ed?
My understanding is we'll have three meetings on the sales tax ordinance starting in 2 weeks.
That's correct.
So May 30th, and then...
May 30th will be introduced, and then the final adoption will be on June 20th.
Is the second one is a public hearing?
Right, on June 6th. No, 13th, June 13th.
So I commissioned a poll, asked a lot of questions that we talked about in the workshop, and just that I think would have relevance. I'd love to present that to the council. I mean, some of it's surprising, some of it's not. Some of it I was hoping to see, some of it I wasn't. But I'd like to just present all of it to the council. I don't know if the pollster could present it. The pollster, I think, could make a better presentation than I could. But in any case, I think it's irrelevant. I think it'll contribute to the discussion, and I would just hope to somehow get that information to the council and the public. Thanks.
James?
Yeah, I have I'm sure you guys have seen the Amazon warehouse that's going up on Southwest 15th and Council. And I just wanted to use that kind of as a platform to illustrate what how a GO bond projects can have an economic development impact on an area. I've been driving South Council nearly every single day for 12 years. And all of a sudden, after we repaved 10th Street, or Council from I-40 all the way down to Southwest 44th, we improved the intersection at Southwest 15th and Council, where which is the turn into the to the landfill. All of a sudden, stuff starts happening down there. And I can't think that that's just a coincidence. And so these street repavings and these intersection improvements and all these things that go into it is a real economic development tool. And I don't want us to just always be thinking about, okay, we need to just repave the street because it's tearing up cars and that sort of stuff. I mean, it really does have a huge economic development aspect to it, because that area is one of the best industrial areas in the entire city. And so really, to me, there was no reason for those those areas where, because there's actually another humongous warehouse being put in on the south side of Southwest 15, which I don't even know what it is. Amazon is going to be on the north side of 15th, and but those have been there for 12 years, and there's really no reason for people to have not developed it. And so I have to think that the repaving and the improving of that intersection has had a significant impact, and almost all of that was funded through the 2007 bond. So it is very significant.
I'm sure you're right. Thanks for pointing that out. Item 11A also includes travel expenses for Larry and John to attend the National League of Cities Summer Board and Leadership Meeting in Cleveland next month. I'll look for a motion there. Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Thank you both for attending. We appreciate it. And item 11B has been submitted by Councilman Pettis, and Dan Burmett's also been involved. You have Dan make a presentation on it, John?
Yes, sir. Okay. After receiving a number of complaints from nearby residents in regards to the concerts happening during the weekday, the amount of noise that the concerts have created in the neighborhoods, and I had a chance to meet with legal staff and also the neighbors and other people. And so what you see is the recommendation from everyone who's involved.
All right. Dan?
Yes, the ordinance would amend the design statement for the Lost Legs Adventure District to limit them to 3 concerts per year to be held on Friday, Saturday, or holiday evenings. Have to be over by 11 o'clock. This will need to be referred to the Planning Commission for their review and recommendation.
Okay. John, are there neighbors that live in this area? Is that the problem?
Absolutely, yes. To the just west of Track 3, you have a neighborhood that's been in existence since the early 1900s, and they have been complaining about the concerts for some quite time now. So having this revisiting the amount of concerts, I think it would be great for everyone involved to have those discussions.
All right. So it's going to the Planning Commission at this point, and eventually, if it moves through, it'll get to council. All right.
What is it for, like, the zoo amphitheater? Is it the same as this, or would it be different? Or?
Well, it's not the same as the zoo amphitheater. We need to revisit how we do the zoo amphitheater. I live within 300 feet of the zoo amphitheater, and every time there is a concert, I hear it every single day. I mean, every time there is a concert. But however, in this case, you have a neighborhood that was in existence first, and all of a sudden they are experiencing these loud concerts. And it's not fair to the neighborhood to hear concerts up until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. It's not fair to the neighborhood to hear a concert during the weekday. Yeah. I've received a lot of complaints. I've driven out there to hear the concerts, to actually see what's been happening. And the neighborhood, they have a right to be concerned with these concerts.
So, John, a couple of weeks ago we had another issue about concerts in the middle of the neighborhood. I'm wondering, can the Planning Commission look at the whole issue in totality?
I think in certain areas it has to be done differently. Because we have to also look at the type of, in certain areas, the type of homes that are nearby these concert venues. The homes that's just west of this particular site were built in the early 1900s versus where the zoo amphitheater is. The homes were built in, some of them, the late 1960s, 70s, 80s, and 90s in some cases. The homes west of this particular site, the installation is not, the
and watch my words, the installation is not like it is over by the zoo amphitheater. So to have a citywide policy, I think it would be a little bit difficult to some degree.
Okay.
But I think we have to deal with this case by case. Like I said, I live by the zoo amphitheater, and every time there's a concert, I hear it, whether I want to hear it or not. I hear it. But we need to do something right now to deal with this situation. And work to deal with the zoo amphitheater as well, but I think we have to do it case by case.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, anything to add, Dan?
No, sir.
All right, thank you for coming down. City manager reports?
We need a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to introduce the item. All right. Cast your votes on item 9B. Passes unanimously. Now, city manager reports?
None this morning, sir, outside of claims and payroll.
All right. Citizens to be heard. Michael Washington is here. Ask all people and citizens to be heard to keep their comments to 3 minutes.
Yes, I am deeply disappointed with myself. I'm often late here, but we're going to change that because I've been missing a whole lot of great, 2900 Northeast 18th Street. A little concerned with myself. I've been missing out on a whole lot. People have been coming to me, man, you're really too late. The majority of the good things happen between 8:30 and 9, between that time. Well, I said, well, I'm often out of town, so I think I'll kind of switch my schedule around so I can come in and have a little bit more detail about what's really going on around these, I guess I'll say, forest. Okay, but now, let me say, Mr. Pettis, we need to sit down. I don't know, simply because I have a lawsuit filed on you, my friend, I have a right to visit my city council. You don't run anything, okay? You simply are here, at least I thought you were, to represent the people, right? On the northeast side, Ward 7? I mean, can anybody explain that to me, why I would not have an opportunity when this man is representing the ward that I live in, 2900 Northeast 18th Street, that this man cannot allow me to visit his office? Now, I'm often told if it's too hot, get out of the kitchen. Okay? Because I am a citizen. If that were not so, I would not be standing before you today. I'm definitely not a ghost. I definitely am highly, profoundly intelligent. One who just doesn't take macaroni or foolishness, which this man obviously knows about, and I'm sure plenty of you do too. But I'm just saying, sir, for the council members and those who may be listening upon this beautiful occasion, I'd like to know why I, as a citizen, as a taxpayer, as a person, a human being, cannot visit the person who's here today representing Ward 7. This is a farce, a total travesty of justice for you to even assemble or to even assume, even remotely, that you're a councilman for Ward 7. I'm deeply disappointed in your actions and behavior, sir. And with that, I will again address this council members and then let you all know again that I would like to meet with this man, and I'm sure, do you have any problem with the citizens that you and your wards represent coming in to sit down and talk to someone who has an office in the city hall, which is again not his hall, but a hall that we're paying for with our tax dollars. Every dollar that I spend every time I buy a cookie or a candy bar, when they say Michael Washington 69 cents plus 8, that money, not necessarily that candy bar, is going into your pockets, but that's part of the whole equation. And I'd like for the citizens to be heard, not just to be standing here today and say, oh, well, he's gone now. I'd like for this to take a profound effect on the people and citizens who have a right to be heard and deserve to have their statement not only just heard, but actually acted upon. I've disregarded, excluded in my African-American community. We don't have enough monies that are designed to give us an actual chance. This man is also plotting, for the most part. You got your cameras on? Good. This man over here is plotting to disrupt the African-American community, to move us out for gentrification, just like you did Dew Street, which you were not old enough quite naturally. So I'm almost 20-some years old, and you, so you weren't there around that time when all that was coming into fruition. But we need the city council to stop and realize, I'm closing, sir, I see you looking at me. We need the city council to let everybody know that we as African Americans must have a voice. We must not be discriminated against. We must not be disregarded. And on that note, thank you all very much for this time. And I will sit in for the remainder of the portion of what you have going on. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.